Okay, everyone, welcome to another online lesson. This is the third lesson about grammatical range and accuracy and how to get a band 7 or band 7 plus in GRA. Okay, if this is the first video you're watching, make sure that you watch the previous two lessons. That way you'll be able to fully understand this one. I'll put links down in the description for you all. Okay, so now just before we delve into the lesson, we're going to take a quick look again at differences between defining and non-defining before we start. Okay, so similar to the last lesson, we had sentences and we want to work out differences between defining and non-defining. So we have the rats ate all the food, which was in the basement. The rats ate all the food, which was in the basement, and this one has a comma. So we have a defining relative clause and we have a non-defining relative clause. So very quickly in the chat section, can you all type differences between the two in meaning? So of course, in form, it's clear we have a comma, but in meaning, of course, there's going to be a lot of difference. Right. Amani is saying the first one refers to the food and the second one refers to the rats. I'm going to say no. No. They're both referring to the food, but there is a big difference in meaning. Amani, make sure that you watch the previous videos because we went into detail about the difference between defining and non-defining relative clause. Okay. Some of you saying about the food. Yeah, both of them are about the food. The defining, both of the clauses are about the food, both the defining and the non-defining relative clauses. Okay, so Satish. Okay. Right. So Satish is saying that in number one, we need this information. So we need this information to be able to understand this noun here, the food that we are talking about. Okay. In the non-defining relative clause, in the second one, we do not need this information. Okay. So if we say that we need this information, which was in the basement, what does it tell us about the food? The rats ate all the food, which was in the basement. So what does that tell us? Okay, thank you, Saeed. So it tells us that there's food in more than one place. Okay, there's food in more than one place. So the rats ate all the food, but which food did the rats eat? The rats ate the food that was in the basement. So definitely we have food in more than one place. What about number two? Do we have food in more than one place? Or? Yes. Okay. No, just in the basement. Okay. So let's take a look at the first one, the defining. So defining relative clauses give us information about a noun that is necessary for understanding. Okay. So these clauses could help us to identify or categorize something or someone. So here, the rats ate all the food which was in the basement. There is food in other places in the house. Only the food in the basement was eaten. the food in the other places of the house wasn't eaten. Okay, so all the other food in the other rooms or other places in the house wasn't eaten. Now, in the first one, we have a non-defining relative clause. So non-defining relative clauses give us information about a noun that isn't essential. Okay, so the information isn't essential for understanding. If we drop it, it has no effect. It doesn't affect it. So here, the rats ate all the food. So they finished all of the food. And the information here is extra. We don't need it. So which was in the basement. So we don't need this information. It's extra information because we know that the rats ate all of the food. Okay, so there's only food in one place and all the food in the house was eaten. So if we drop this information, it will not change the meaning whatsoever. Okay, excellent. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to practice adding extra information. So here we have a very, very short story. And we're going to try to add some information to this story. So a man called Tom went to Warsaw to visit a friend. Actually, I think I changed the noun. No. Okay. Sorry. A man called Tom went to Warsaw to visit a friend. When he arrived at the house, he knocked on the door, but an old man answered. He invited Tom inside and gave him a drink. Tom sat in an armchair and fell asleep. When he woke up, he was on a boat. So this is a short story. And what we want to do is we want to add information, as much information as we can, using non-defining relative clauses, so extra information, okay, to spice up this story. But before we spice up this story by adding non-defining relative clauses, what we're going to need to know is where can we add non-defining relative clauses? So we know that we use non-defining relative clauses to give extra information about nouns. Okay, so can you find the nouns within this short story? In the chat section, please type all the nouns that you think that we could add non-defining relative clauses to. Okay, I have Tom. We have Tom, a friend, Warsaw, the name of an area. We have armchair, house, old man. Well, man, of course. Old man. Yeah. Boat. Yeah. Okay. So we do have quite a few. Any more? Some of you must have reached the end. Okay. So let's take a look. I've highlighted them. So we have man here. We have man. We have Tom. We have Warsaw, the name of a place. We have friend. We have house. We have door. We have man, well, old man together. So we could say man, this is the noun. We have Tom. We have drink. And we have armchair. And here we have boat. Okay, so these are all nouns that we can use, that we can add extra information with who, which, and where, and so on. Okay, so non-defined relative clauses. So before we do this, I want to give you an example that something that I've written earlier. So on cooking videos, they say this is something I prepared earlier. So here we have a little story. I like to do this story with students because different students have, different interests, and they come up with totally different stories. Some student will write a love story, and some student will write a scary story, and everyone has their own kind of creativity. So this is something that I came up with, a bit scary, on the scary side. A man, comma, who was very rich, comma, called Tom, went to Warsaw, comma, which is an area in Scotland. So we have which, and we're going to use the preposition in with it. To visit a friend, comma, who he hadn't seen for many years. When he arrived at the house, comma, which looked very creepy. So now we're making it sound a little bit scary, yeah? Because we have a creepy house here. Comma, he knocked on the door, comma, which was dusty and full of cobwebs. So we have spiders and, cobwebs, a lot of cobwebs. But an old man, comma, who looked very pale and scary, answered. He invited Tom, comma, who was feeling terrified. Who wouldn't feel terrified, yeah? So we've got to a very creepy house, very dusty, full of cobwebs, yeah? Like something out of a horror movie, yeah? Inside, and gave him a drink, comma, which made him feel rather relaxed and tranquil. Tom sat in an armchair, comma, which started to feel quite comfortable, comma, and fell asleep. So could it be something that was in the drink that made him feel tranquil and comfortable, and fell asleep? When he woke up, he was on a boat, comma, which was in the backyard of a house. Okay, it looks like the man, Tom, is in a difficult situation. Okay, so now we're going to do something. Let's try and do something together. Let me go to the next page, and let's see what we can come up with. Okay. Okay, so we don't have to do all of them. So I'll make some of them black. Okay, and what I want you to do, you guys, is to give me some information that I'm going to add. Okay, so we have a man. Can I get rid of this? Yes, I can. Okay. Okay, so here I have a man. Can we have some information that we could add about man? If I have any teachers in there, you're more than welcome to join in to create this story with me. I'm sure I have a few teachers, huh? Yeah, feel free to join in and help me create this story. Okay, so we have a man. Okay, we have Saliha, who was working as a teacher, who was a doctor, who was a teacher, who was 50. Okay. Uh, who is a pharmacist? Let's make the guy a doctor. Okay. Yeah. Saeed said, doesn't that make it mechanical? Of course, when you're doing lots of relative clauses, it will sound strange, but that's not the goal. The goal is to show you that you can put non-defining relative clauses anywhere, and just to make you aware how easy it is for you to put non-defining relative clauses in your text and be able to fulfill Band 7 requirements. Because I'm sure many of you, when you're looking at your writing, you have so many opportunities to put in a non-defining relative clause, but you don't. Okay, so we have a man who's a doctor called Tom, went to Warsaw. So let's say, what can we say about Warsaw now? So now we have Warsaw, the name of an area. The name of an area, which is famous for lakes. I like that. I like that. Which is famous for lakes. Okay. Went to Warsaw, which is famous for lakes, to visit a friend. So now we're going to put a friend, comma, who what could we say about the friend? What could we say about the friend? So a man who is a doctor called Tom went to Warsaw, which is famous for lakes, to visit a friend who. Yeah, if it's still, yeah, some people saying about the tense, of course, you know, the man is still a doctor, and Warsaw is still famous for lakes, so we can use the present tense there. It's okay. Aha. Who is feeling unwell? Who works with him? Can we think of anything else? Let's kind of make it more than just a doctor trying to visit somebody to help them. Could we think of anything else? Maybe a bit unexpected? Okay. Who is feeling unwell? Who's working in a hospital? Who works with him? Anything else? We have 12 people here. Oh, 11 now. We're being inactive, sorry. Let's get some of you moving. Hamdi, I haven't heard your voice. Is it Jasmine or Yasmin? I don't know. Julian, Medaya, Saliha. I've heard Saliha's voice actually. Wurud. Uh-huh. Okay, who needed his help? Okay, let's go for that. Let's go for that one. Let's go for that one. Okay, a friend who needed his help. Okay, so let's get back to the story, yeah? So a man who's a doctor called Tom went to Warsaw, which is famous for lakes, to visit a friend who needed his help. Right. Okay, so I'm going to underline all the non-defined relative clauses as well, just to highlight them. And here, if you notice, we have a full stop because it came at the end of a sentence. Okay. When he arrived at the house, what could we say about the house now? What could we say that's so unexpected about the house? So in my story, it was very creepy and so on. But what else could we say that's different to that? Okay. Which has an exterior design. Anything else? Let's see. Can we get any more suggestions? We need some help here to create the story. Anyone? Which was big and old. Okay. Which was built, which is located near the lake. Right. Okay. I'm gonna go with Satish. She said something about, you know, an amazing exterior. Okay, so I'm gonna try and make this house a little bit spectacular. Which had an okay. Okay, so when you arrived at the house, which had an amazing exterior design, he knocks on the door. Okay, what could we say about the door? Oh, which had a security lock. Anything else? So we said it had an amazing exterior design. Let's say an amazing modern exterior design. So we're not making it old, yeah? He knocked on the door. Ah, I like that. I like that. Which was already open. That could mean something, yeah? So that could mean maybe something's happening here, yeah? Okay, so let's go for that. Which was already open. So we're going to have to end with a comma because we're in the middle there. We're in the middle of the sentence. Okay, so which was already open, but an old man answered. But an old man answered. So let's add something there about the old man. What could we say to make this story a little bit, to spice this story up a bit? Which was already open. So let's say something about the old man. Aha. So let's say he had a weird voice. So an old man who had a weird voice. I like that. I like that. Who had a weird voice. Answered. He invited Tom inside and gave him a drink. What could we say? Oh, somebody said, someone saying who had long hair that covers his eyes. Wow. Okay, I like that. I like that. So who had long hair that covered his eyes. So that's giving it a bit of a strange feeling to it. Okay, so invited Tom inside and get an old man who had long hair that. So we have two relative clauses in there. Okay, long hair that covered his eyes answered. He invited Tom inside and gave him a drink. So let's think about this drink. what this drink could be like. Full of nutrients. Okay, but remember he's gonna sit in an armchair, fall asleep, and then end up on a boat. So anything else? What could be special about this drink? Which was red in color. Yeah, it could be wine. Anything else? Okay. So somebody said which had a sleeping aid medication in it, and somebody said which was high, which had maybe a high concentration in alcohol. Ah, which had which was tasteless. Which was tasteless. Which had a spectacular color. I like the tasteless thing though. Anyway, I'm going for the tasteless one. Which was tasteless. Wow. Okay. I'm going to underline that. And then we have Tom. Aha. Now this gives us an opportunity to say what Tom is feeling, yeah? So he was met by this guy who had hair covering his eyes. He was given a drink, and the drink was tasteless. And he's sitting in an armchair. So what could we say about Tom now? Madaya came up with a good one. The drink which looked very green and had a strange taste. Okay, I'm going to put which looked green and was tasteless. Which looked green and was tasteless. Okay. Tom. So how's Tom feeling now? He's met by this old guy. He has hair that's covering his eyes, and he's given this drink that looks green and is tasteless. So, you know, what could we say about Tom? Maybe, you know, maybe we could comment on how Tom's feeling. Aha. Tom, who is feeling numb and confused. So numb, he doesn't have any feelings, yeah? Let's get that in. Who was feeling quite sleepy. Who was feeling restless. But then we have restless and then we have fell asleep. So I think restless and then fell asleep is a bit kind of clash a little bit. What could we do? So we have numb and confused. Let's say, what could we say about the arm who's feeling dizzy? We can't say feeling dizziness. Maybe we could say feeling dizzy. Okay. Let's move on to the armchair. What could we say about the armchair? Comma, which was made of? Okay, let's do something a bit strange. So we could say, maybe we could say something strange about the, maybe we could say something strange about the armchair, which was made of exported wood or imported wood, yeah, of course. Had movable arms. Aha, I like that. Which was cold as ice. Which was as cold as ice, yeah? Which was, I like that. Thank you, Sarah. Which was as cold as ice. Okay, sat in an armchair which was as cold as ice and fell asleep. When he woke up, he was on a boat. What could we say about the boat? Let's finish the story with something interesting about the boat. Where is the boat? Or what could we say about the boat? Which was looking expensive. Okay. Aha, which had a dragon design. Which was covered and dark. Ah, it could be covered, yeah. Could be covered and dark. Okay. Which was covered and dark. Anything else? Okay. I'm going to go for that one, which was covered in dark. Okay, so let's read the story all together. So let's make some sense of it. A man who was a doctor called Tom went to Warsaw, which is famous for lakes, to visit a friend who needed his help. When he arrived at the house, which had an amazing modern exterior design, he knocked on the door, which was already open, but an old man who had long hair that covered his eyes answered. He invited Tom inside and gave him a drink, which looked green and was tasteless. Tom, oh, it should be who was, yeah? Tom, who was feeling numb and confused, sat in an armchair, which was as cold as ice, and fell asleep. When he woke up, he was on a boat, which was covered and dark. Okay, one thing about non-defined relative clauses, you might, or we don't use them a lot in spoken English, but when we use them, we stop. So notice how I stop. A man who is a doctor called Tom went to Warsaw, which is famous for lakes, to visit a friend. Now, you might hear non-defined relative clauses in the news. So when you're listening to them, you'll feel that they stop just for like a brief second before they continue reading. Okay, but it's not commonly used in spoken English. Okay, if you want to use it in spoken English, you can, but just make sure that you pause to clarify that there is a comma in that specific place. Okay. Okay, everyone. Let's move on. So now we've practiced giving information after a noun. Now we want to do something different. We can also add non-defining relative clauses to comment on a clause, the whole of the clause, not just one noun in the clause, but to comment on the whole of the clause using which. Okay, so we do this using which and not who. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples. Sorry, some of the examples are a bit, I'm gonna have to move them up a bit for you to see them. Yep, let's see, can we see them? Okay, not the best. Sorry, let me just shove them together. That should do the trick. Okay, the man, comma, who was very excited, comma, started to cheer. Now, here, this non-defining relative clause is about the man, is about a noun. Yeah? Let's take a look at the second one. Lisa decided to become a doctor, comma, which is a very difficult task. So, this non-defining relative clause is not giving us information about a noun. It's giving us information about the whole of the clause, using which. Okay. So let's take a look at this. So just try to make it a bit clear. My arrow's gone now. Sorry, guys. Okay. So here we have Lisa decided to become a doctor, comma, which. We have the word doctor and we have which. So why do we have which here? That's a bit strange. Why do we have which and not who? Can you comment on that in the chat box? So Lisa decided to become a doctor, comma, which. So can we comment why we're using the pronoun which here and not doctor? Aha, Amandi's very close. She's saying, are we talking about the job? Yeah. So here, yeah, we're not talking about, we're not talking about the doctor here. So what are we talking about? We're talking about becoming a doctor. So this is not a person. So we don't use who. We're talking about becoming a doctor. So Lisa decided to become a doctor. So becoming a doctor is a very difficult task. So we're not using who here. We're using which. Okay. So when we comment on the whole of a clause, we do not use who. We use which. Okay, so this is a very easy way of using a non-defining relative clause to make a comment on a clause. Now, in academic writing, we have two phrases that are very, very common that we use to add, extra information. Okay, to explain things and to give reasons. So you'll see this very commonly used in academic writing, comma, which is why. Comma, which means. Okay, so these are two phrases that are very, very commonly used, and they're very beautiful phrases to use in your task 2s. Okay, even your task 1s. So you could say, Toyota reached 50%, comma, which is 2 times that of Mitsubishi and another car, Mitsubishi and Daewoo. Okay, so this is a very easy way of explaining, giving reasons and explanations for a sentence that you have presented. So let's take a look at 2 of the sentences. I'm not sure about the sentence that's below the second sentence. Can you see that sentence? Can you comment? Can you see it? Can you see the second sentence completely? Yes, sir. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Okay. Yes. Okay, so let me read these examples. The price of smartphones has skyrocketed. So it's gone, you know, really, really high. Yeah. So the price is really, really expensive, which is why having one has become a luxury. So here we're giving a reason, which is why. So you see in task 2, it tells us, give reasons for your examples, for your answers. Yeah. So when you have ideas, you have your main ideas, we want to give reasons for it. So this is a beautiful way we are fulfilling the task achievement requirements, and also we are using some complex structures, and also for coherence and cohesion, we are using a different type of linker, an advanced linker, reference link, substitution to avoid repetition. So we're doing lots of lovely things at the same time, which is why having one is referring to a smartphone. So this also a reference link as well, which is why having one has become a luxury. Number 2, which means, so we're explaining here, which means the virus is extremely infectious, which means that we must take all the necessary precautions. Okay, everyone. Now I want you guys to do is I want you to write some examples for these. So we have John worked so hard on the project. Okay, so John worked so hard on the project. What could we say? Which means, which is why. Maybe you could say, not which means he deserves a better salary, maybe we could say, which is why he deserves maybe a bonus. That's a good one. Or which is why he deserves, you know, a promotion maybe. Yeah. A salary means every month, and this is maybe just, you know, one job that is done. So maybe we could say he deserves it, which is why he deserves a bonus, or which is why I think he deserves a promotion, maybe something like that. Anything else? Which means, which is why, okay, which is why he is exhausted. Good one. Which is why he deserves with an S, not deserve a promotion, deserves a promotion. Yeah, excellent, Julian. And no worries, Satish. I'm sure something important has come up, and that's why you have to leave. Okay. Yeah, excellent. Anyone else want to add anything else? Okay. If not, let's move on to number 2. The children found the task extremely difficult to complete. So what could we say? Which is why, which means, let's make some sentences. Let's add some clauses here, non-defined relative clauses. Okay. So we have children found the task extremely difficult to complete, which mean, which means the topic is rocket science. So it's very difficult. Okay. Not which why, which is why. Which is why many of them could not do it or complete it, maybe, yeah? Aha. Amani said that is why they need parents' help. Now, what's wrong with that? That is why they need parents' help. That is why. What's wrong with that? Why can't we use that is why? Yeah, it should be which is why, but what's wrong with that is why? What's wrong with that is why they need parents' help? Why can't we use that is why? Okay. So here we have, yes, we have that. That can only be used for defining relative clauses, and we are not giving essential information. We are giving extra information about the whole of the clause. So we cannot use comma that. We can only use comma which, comma who, comma where, and so on. So that is only for defining relative clauses. Okay, number 3, low carbohydrate diets have been proven to help people lose body fat. So what could we say? Which is why, or which means? Okay, do you have any more answers? Okay, so which is why they have become very popular, which means many people can stay healthy, which means we need to increase. Okay. Okay, which means it is really effective. So we have a few sentences here. I'm not sure one of you wrote, which means we need to increase the amount of it to ensure. So how can, if we, low carbohydrate diets, so we can't increase the amount of carbohydrates here, because then it would mean that we would gain body fat. Okay, so we could say, which means it is really effective. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, excellent. Last lesson, I had some questions about who or whom. I don't like to comment on this because I just think it's better just to use who. But I thought I'd just, do something quickly to clarify the difference. Who can be used for a subject, for when the relative pronoun is a subject or an object, but whom can only be used when it is an object. Okay. So here we have a boy who I met. So here, who is an object. The dog which was very happy, which was very hungry. Sorry, which here is a subject. I played with the boy that John saw. So that is an object. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to first define if who is a subject or an object, and then we'll see if we can replace them or if we can't. So number one, is who a subject or an object? Can we type subject or object? So number one, who I went to France with. Okay. Any more answers? Okay. So some of you put subject, which is incorrect. Here we have who, I. Who, I. So here we have I is the subject, and the reason why we know I is the subject is because I is followed by the verb. Okay, so because I is followed by the verb, I is the subject of the relative clause, and who is an object. Okay, so because who is the object, we could actually use whom in its place. Okay, so we could say whom I went to France with. Okay, number two, the man who invented. Now, number two, is who the subject or the object? Okay, so everybody's putting subject, and how do we know that it's the subject? We know because the verb is directly after the relative pronoun. So we have subject, verb, subject, verb. So who here is a subject. Excellent. So can we use who? Can we change who with whom here? Is it possible? Is it possible to change? No. Excellent. Excellent. Good stuff. Number three, Fred is a man who I respect a lot. So who here, is it a subject or an object? Okay, very good. So who here is an object. So can we use whom in the place of who? Can we replace? Yes, definitely. Yes, we can. Okay. So we can say Fred is a man whom I respect a lot. So she is the student who won the last competition. Is who a subject or an object here? Excellent. It is an object. Sorry, it is a subject. Okay, very good. And how do we know that it's a subject? Who is followed automatically by the verb. Okay, so in which sentence is who an object? We have sentence number one, who I went to France with, and we have sentence number three, who I respect a lot. So let's quickly take a look at these four sentences and tell me which of the four sentences are correct. So which of these four sentences are correct? Some saying 1 and 3. Anyone else? One and 3. Any other answers? Okay. So let's check. Yes. So we have number 1. Yeah. So we have number 1 is who is an object, and it can be replaced. It can be replaced by whom. But number 2 and number 4 cannot, because whom is a subject there. Okay. Just a couple of points about whom. Whom is used in formal English, and whom is used nowadays in writing only. So we don't use it in spoken English anymore, but previously, of course, it was used commonly in spoken English, especially by like middle class and educated people. But nowadays, it's just something that we use in writing. Okay, now we're going to go on to something that's a little bit more advanced, and we have reduced relative clauses. So reduced relative clauses refer to shortening. So we have a long relative clause, and we're going to shorten it to make it shorter. So just a few examples before we explain how we can shorten relative clauses. We have number 1. This is the man who was chosen for the position. This is the man chosen for the position. So we're dropping here, we're reducing the relative clause. The TV which was broken, the broken TV cost $1,000. So we're dropping quite a bit of information, and we're also changing the structure. The woman who is on the sofa is a TV presenter. The woman on the sofa is a TV presenter. So here as well, the relative clause is a lot shorter. Okay, so let's learn how we can shorten these relative clauses. I'm going to show you a few different ways that we can shorten them. So here we have, number 1, we have an adjective, tall. So it's just a single adjective after who is tall. Right? So when we just have an adjective in the relative clause, the verb to be, followed by an adjective, what we can do is we can just put the adjective before the noun. We can drop who is and take the adjective and put it before the noun. So the tall man took the money. So this is a way of reducing a relative clause. Number 2, the woman who was elected. So in the second example, we just have a past participle after who was. So just the past participle after who was. What we can do, we can take this past participle and put it before woman. Now, if we have a phrase after it, it will not be possible. So we can't say the elected for the president's woman celebrated all night. It doesn't work. We can only use it if we only have a past participle by itself in the clause. We can take it and put it before the noun. Okay. Now we have some examples with which and the verb to be. Which and the verb to be. Which or who, and so on, and the verb to be. Okay. Now, these are not followed by one word. They're followed by what we call a phrase, which was scheduled for last week, was cancelled. So it's a longer relative clause. Okay. Who was elected for president. So this is not just a past participle, it's a whole phrase. Who are graduating this year. So we have a whole phrase here. Who was swimming in the sea at the time. Who are in the office. So we have a phrase. So when we have a phrase, what we do is we can drop the relative pronoun and the verb to be. So the meeting, which was scheduled for last week, was cancelled. The meeting scheduled for last week was cancelled. So this is an advanced way of using relative clauses. Of course, never do anything that you're not sure of. If you're sure that you're getting it correct and you fully understand reduced relative clauses, this is something excellent that you can use. It's not 100% necessary for band 7, but you know, it is something, if you can get it right, you're 100% sure of yourself, then it's a really good way to show off your grammar. The woman who was elected for president. The woman elected for president. So we're going to drop who was, because we have a phrase after it, after the verb be. The students who are graduating this year are working very hard. So here we have graduating this year. It's a phrase. So we could say the students graduating this year are working very hard. John, non-defined relative clause, who was swimming in the sea at the time, heard the girls scream for help. So John, comma, swimming in the sea at the time, comma, heard the girls scream for help. Number 5, the teachers who are in the office have all gotten a raise. The teachers in the office have all gotten a raise. Now we have changing, of course, there are different tenses that we can change to a present participle, verb plus ing, but I'm not going to do all of them because some of them are very complicated and it doesn't work all the time. But what I'm going to do is use the present simple as an example, which everyone should be able to use. So anyone who touches that cake will be in trouble. Anyone touching that cake. So we can change the verb in the present simple to a present participle. So it's a verb plus ing. Anyone touching that cake. And of course we drop the relative pronoun. The woman who works. So the woman who works is going to change to the woman working. Then we have the boy who has. We have the verb has. The verb has can change to with. So the boy with long hair took the money from the till. So the verb has can change to with, and we drop the relative pronoun. I saw the students who have mountain bikes leave the park. I saw the students with mountain bikes leave the park. Okay, so this is with the present simple and with the verb have and has. Okay, now let's practice. So we have the students who are in grade 9 are working very hard. So how can we reduce this? So can you write your answer in the chat box? So can you write the reduced form? So we have the students in grade 9 are working very hard. The students in grade 9. Okay, excellent. So we have number 1, the students in grade 9 are working very hard. Now let's look at number 2. Peter, who was helping his mother at the time, saw a dog coming his way. So how can we reduce number 2? Okay. So do we have one? Have Medea, Esma. Okay. Medea, no. We can't say that Peter was helping. No, because with these sentences we drop who and the verb be. Saliha? Saliha? No. Okay. Right. So let's take a look at number 2. So we have number 2, Peter helping his mother at the time, comma. So here we have a non-defining relative clause, and what we do is we drop who and we drop the verb be. Okay. So Peter helping his mother at the time saw the dog coming his way. Of course, with non-defining relative clauses, we keep the commas in their place and we drop who and the verb be. Okay. Number 3, the teachers who are teaching grade 5 have all gotten a raise. So the teachers who are teaching grade 5 have all gotten a raise. So how can we reduce this one? You put your answers in the chat box. Okay. So Medaya says the teacher. So the teachers teaching. Okay. Thank you, Esma and Medaya. Yeah. So it's the teachers teaching grade 5 have all gotten a raise. Number 4, the meeting which was scheduled on Monday was postponed. So what could we put? How could we reduce that relative clause? Okay. Okay. Saliha. Yeah, you're nearly there, but there's a small mistake. I don't know if you noticed. Can you adjust it? Can you make an adjustment to that? Asma, Madaya. So we have the meeting. Salih's answer is okay, excellent. Scheduled on. So we don't want to change it to a non-defining relative clause. There are no commas here. It's not non-defining. So here we're defining which meeting are we talking about. The meeting scheduled on Monday. So that specific one. So maybe there were more than one meeting scheduled, and only one of them was scheduled on Monday. So we're saying the meeting scheduled on Monday, not the one scheduled on Tuesday, or the one scheduled on Wednesday. The one that was scheduled on Monday was postponed. So we can't change it by adding. We can't change it by adding commas. Okay. Number 5, the woman who was elected for president did a great job. So what could we put? For those of you who are joining with, using a mobile phone or a tablet, it might be a little bit difficult to type and to follow these lessons because you need to be able to type sentences. Okay. Very good, Esma. Anyone else? Yes, yes. So we have the woman elected for president did a great job. Okay, so here, of course, we're dropping the verb be. So if you see who are, we're dropping it. Who was, we're dropping it. Who are, we're dropping it. Which was, we're dropping it. Who was, we're dropping it. So with reduced relative clauses, we drop the pronoun and the verb be. Okay, number 6, anyone who watches. So here we have the present simple. We don't have the verb be, right? So anyone who watches the program will love it. So here there's no verb be. So can you remember what we do when we have like the present simple? Okay, anyone else? Saliha? Medaya? I don't know where Saeed is. Where's Saeed gone? Okay. Right, yeah. So the answer is anyone watching the program will love it. Very good, Saliha, Esma. Good job. Okay. The man who works at the corner shop is sick today. So how can we reduce this defining relative clause here? Number 7. Okay. Very good. So here we have, excellent, excellent, good job. So here we have the man who works is going to change to the man working at the pharmacy is sick today. Number 8. The woman who has long blonde hair is wearing a black dress today. So how can we do that? How can we reduce that? Very good. So here we have the woman who has, we're going to drop that and we're going to put with. The woman with long hair is wearing a black dress today. Okay. Number 9, the boy who is excited has just won a big prize. So what could we do? Here we have an adjective by itself, a lonely adjective. So what can we do with that adjective? Very good. Okay, very good. Okay, some of you were watching very attentively. The excited boy. So when we just have an adjective or a past participle, we can drop who is and we can put it before the noun. So the excited boy has just won a prize. Let's take a look at the last one. The man who was chosen did a great job. So what could we say here to reduce this relative clause? Okay, very good. Thank you, Medaya, Salha, Asma. So here we have the chosen man did a great job. Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, so here we have basically Band 7 GRA. We talked a little bit about that last lesson. I told you what complex sentences are. Relative clauses are complex sentences. So as a requirement of Band 7 GRA, uses a variety of complex structures. So here it would be good if you want a Band 7 in grammatical range and accuracy. It would be very good if you can use a defining relative clause, a non-defining relative clause. It's not that necessary that you use lots of different pronouns and use, reduced defining relative clauses. It's enough if you have a relative, if you have a defining relative clause and a non-defining relative clause in there. It shows that you know how to use relative clauses. Okay, so you don't have to do anything very advanced that you're not sure of. It's better that if there's anything that you're not 100% sure of, that you avoid, because accuracy, having a high accuracy in grammatical range and accuracy is very, very important for Band 7 GRA. So here we have produces frequent error-free sentences. So frequent error-free sentences. So if you're going to start using things that you're not sure of and making mistakes, it won't be possible for you to get a Band 7. So the most important thing is make sure that you have a defining relative clause and make sure that you have a non-defining relative clause in there. Of course, there are many things that you could do. You could do reduced defining relative clauses where you omit the object, that or who. Of course, that, who, or which. When it's an object in a defining relative clause, you can drop it. Of course, you can use lots of different, pronouns, and you could use non-defining relative clauses, and you can also comment on the whole of a clause using a non-defining relative clause. Okay, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, please remember to hit like and subscribe. Also, make sure you click on the notification buttons so you're updated if we release any more videos like this. Okay, everyone, thanks again for watching.